Hello and welcome to Stories That Shape Us. My name is Joanna Daniel. In this episode of Stories That Shape Us, I want to talk about what some of the things that you can do when people won't agree with your boundaries. Not necessarily agree with your boundaries, but when they have opinions and thoughts about decisions rather that you have made. What to do when people don't, when they challenge your decisions, when they don't agree with your decisions, and I don't mean challenge your decisions in a good way. I mean really push hard at your decisions, sometimes maybe belittling you because of your decision, looking down on you because of your decisions, acting superior because of decisions that you have made. So, what are some of the things that you can do when that happens? I hope you don't have those kind of people in your life that would put you in positions of feeling less than. And I like to talk about how people can't make us feel anything, but sometimes what the things that people do will influence feelings of inferiority, and it also plays into limiting beliefs that we have about ourselves already when people do certain things. So what can we do now when we make decisions, and especially people who we value, people who we look up to, people who we're close to, when they push back at our decisions or have thoughts about it can really sometimes be, it can destabilize us a little bit. It can be really, it can be frustrating, it can be shaming, it can be all of those things. So what are some of the things that we can do? And if, especially if you're a people pleaser, and if you're somebody who really wants to please others, and you really want their advice, and you really want them to think well of you, then that might be a really challenging thing for you if you desire people's approval. If you desire the approval of others, and that is a driving force in the things that you do, then it's going to be challenging for you. It's going to be challenging for you. So, of course, one of the things that we want to do is to get to the place where, even though we value feedback and we value other people's opinion, that it's not the driving force and it's not the deciding factor when we have to make a decision for ourselves. Of course, approval from others and people pleasing have a root. And even when we can't make decisions on our own and we need the approval of others, and we need others to stamp it and okay it, there's a root to that that needs to be addressed and healed so that you can feel confident enough in yourself, in your abilities to make decisions without the approval of others. Because there's sometimes in life when we're going to have to stand on our own, when we're going to have to take a middle ground, when we have to or choose a side and be able to stand on the side that we have chosen, even if the people that we love and value in our lives have completely different ideas. So your decisions are yours, ours. The decisions that we make are ours, and so are the consequences. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't learn from the consequences of others. Like when we see somebody, if we see somebody taking the route A, and we see what they look like at the end of route A, and we see they're telling us the experiences that they have along that way. It would not be wise for us to take route A, the same path that they've taken, knowing the experiences that they've had. Now, saying that, there are times when we will take the path and we don't have their experiences because we will make different choices. But if they're telling us that, there's a roadblock there, there's diversion there, there's some potholes there, then we ought to listen to that and put that information into how we proceed on the path. We won't just ignore their warnings and just proceed anyway. And then we meet on the diversion and we don't have a plan for it. Okay. So it's not that we don't listen, we listen, but it's how it's given and what we're going to do next. So if you know the path to your decision making, trust that you've done all that you need to do in making that decision without the input of others, then go forward confidently in that. So, but there's some kinds of people in our lives, and maybe you know some, maybe you have experienced this, where there are people who don't trust your decisions. They don't trust your decisions, they don't trust you, they have no respect for you. And so they will voice that. They won't say, I don't respect you and I don't trust your decision, but they will pull apart everything that you've done. They will question it, they will ask questions, they will question it, they'll make suggestion. And they will do it without having context, without talking to you, without understanding how you make decisions, without understanding anything about your life and about your experiences and what may have led you to the place that it's led you to. They don't need to know any of that. They will just not trust your decision, and they will decide that it was the wrong one that you've made. Now, I know that that can be infuriating. Sometimes they will imply that you're not capable of making good decisions, especially if you may have made some choices in the past that didn't work so well for you and the consequences have been hard to bear. Sometimes you may have gone to them for support and help. And so now they don't trust you to make any decision because you've gone to them for support and help. They feel like now all of your decision must come through them because they know they don't trust you to make any decision about your life because a couple that you've made in the past didn't go so well. So these are people who won't see your growth. They won't acknowledge your growth, even though that you know that you're growing and you're really working hard at doing things differently. Celebrate that and keep on growing and keep on implementing the things that you're learning and the changes that you're making. Because I don't know anybody who can get to any age at all in their lives and not say, you know, I've made a few mistakes. I wish I had done these things differently. I wish I had made these kinds of decisions. You know, we're always looking back, we're always learning, we're always growing. As long as you're learning and growing and implementing the things that you learn along the way, change will happen. It's inevitable. But there are people who are stuck in your past. They are stuck on the last mistake that you've made, or even the first one. They're stuck there. They can't see your growth. They can't see the impact of the growth on your life because sometimes they want to hold you in a certain position in their mind and they don't want you to grow out of that position because it keeps them in in a superior position, right? And it validates them, the fact that you need them and wanted advice from them. And as you are growing and you're making changes and your decisions are different and the outcomes are different, it doesn't suit them to acknowledge that. And so if you still need their approval, I would say then maybe you have some more work to do. There's something is wrong there because what they're doing is not about you. It is about them. That they can't go, wow, I am so proud of you that you're growing. I am going to, you know, keep encouraging you to grow and to not need anybody. And not that we don't need anybody, we need people. If you're familiar with Stories That Shape Us, you know, I'm always saying we're not an island. But I mean, need anybody in the sense that you can make some decisions on your own. You have a path, you have a system, and it works. Okay. And then there's the one who knows more because of whatever subject, they just know more about it. And they are never shy in saying how much they know on this subject and how little you know, and therefore whatever they say is the right thing. Now, sometimes these people don't necessarily have ill intent, but I'm sharing this here because I've seen over time the damage that it does to the person who have to listen, who have to endure, who is not seen, who is not allowed to grow, they want to be kept in a certain position. And sometimes because these relationships are important, you might carry on people pleasing for longer than you wanted to. And the damage to your sense of self, your self-worth and your self-esteem. And the cycle of limiting belief that continues, right? So there are people who are humble enough or teachable enough to also listen and to take feedback. And that's what we're talking about here. So what we want is to be open to collaboration, open to suggestions without somebody else being a dictator and telling you what you should do. And I have this little motto that I live my life by, and it's no correction without connection. So you're not allowed to challenge my decision making or anything like that if you've not connected with me. Because if you're connected with me, then you'll understand me, you'll understand my process, you will have grace for my mistakes, and you will see some of the things that I'm doing in a broader context, and you'll understand some of my underlying reasons for decision making, and you won't just want to give me an answer. I don't need an answer. I need connection. right? Somebody to listen. And so think about, so one of the ways that we want to break out of this, how to make decisions without having to check it and double check it with anybody. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust your decision-making process. Trust the ideas that you have, the research that you've done. Trust your voice. Trust the Lord as he speaks to you. Trust that you can hear him for yourself, and you don't need anybody to narrate his voice to you. You know it and you understand it. Trust that. Okay, because there are always people that's going to give you advice on work, where you should work, the kind of job you should do, how long you should do it for. There are people who really would want to dictate that to you. People would want to dictate your relationships, who you should see, when you should see them, whom you should marry, whether or not you should stay married. All of those things people want to dictate without knowing you or spending the time to understand and get to know you. People, of course, and this is an area that people love to dictate in, whether they have children or not, and it's how to raise your children. People will want to tell you all the time how to raise your children. People who don't have children feel like they're experts on the subject, right? Even people who don't have children at certain stages in life that you're at feel like, if you do this in that stage, it's going to be okay. And this is what you should do versus what you're doing. And once again, this is not about not being teachable or humble enough to listen. This is about being able to collaborate with somebody, to work with someone, for somebody to get to know you so that they can understand what's going on for you and why you're doing the things that you're doing, why you're making the decisions that you're making. So what can you do when people challenge your decision making at every turn? It's really eroding your self-esteem and it's affecting you and you're not sure what to do. Here are some things that you can do. Confidence, learn, grow in confidence. So maybe you need confidence building classes. Maybe you need some coaching and confidence building, but do things to build your confidence. Because as you do that, you learn self-advocacy. You learn to speak up on behalf of yourself so clearly. You learn to say what you need, even if it is, I got this. I don't really need you to help me with this decision. Or what the confidence will help you to do is start to look for the people who are capable of supporting and helping versus the people who are critical and judgmental. So it gives you a shift. The confidence it settles you and centers you, gives you a shift so you can look elsewhere for where can I get support, because obviously from these people is not the right place. And the next thing is trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust your voice. Trust yourself. Trust the voice of God as he speaks to you. Trust that. Test it. Test what you're doing. Test your decision making. Make small steps. But whatever you're doing, trust that, you know where you want to go study. You know what you want to study. You know where you want to work on the job you'd like to do. You know the steps that you're taking in the relationship. And you know how you're parenting your children. You know where you can get resources and information and guidance if you need it. You know that you can go test out this. You can go, if there's a challenge at work or in the career that you're chosen, and people are telling you things, that their careers advice people or coaches that you can go talk to that is impartial and neutral and don't know you and can really hear you and listen to you and help you to make a decision that's going to be right for your life. So that you can do those things, right? So trust that and confidently proceed in that direction. And the last one I want to talk about is boundaries, because when we have boundaries and when we can express our boundaries, when we have the confidence to express our boundaries and trust our voice, then it really helps us to kind of confidently put the people who are not trusting us, who are being disrespectful, even who are the judgmental people, kind of put them right back into the place that they should go. It really does help us to be kind and not nice. It really takes away our desire or helps us curb the habit or inclination for people, the impulse of people pleasing. It really helps challenges that inner impulse of codependency for needing people and wanting them to need us. It really does. When we have boundaries, it really settles us into knowing, what are my limits? How much information do I want to share with anyone? Because sometimes knowledge is power, right? So the more we tell people is the more information that they have about us. And sometimes we're not sharing it with the right people. So what boundaries and confidence does is give you the ability to find the right people to share with. And because maybe the people who are doing these things to you and it's affecting your self-esteem, it's not the right people. So as you are learning confidence building and self-advocacy and learning to trust yourself and to boundary yourself and to so that you can protect yourself, what that does is help you to really look out now on the group of people in your life and see who you can pull closer and who needs to stay in a position slightly further away. It really does set you up to have a life that is more aligned and settled, right? It helps you to manage those insecurities, and it helps you to not need the wrong kind of people in your life who not challenge your decision making, but rather put you down. The ones that are judgmental, the ones that are critical, the ones that are never going to see that you're growing, the ones that prefer to see the you that make mistakes and not the you that you are now, and that your decision, though they might not agree with it, is the right decision for you. And the ones that can walk with you, even though I don't agree with what you're doing, I don't think it's the right thing, but I trust you, and I know that you believe that you're doing the right thing for you, and I'm going to walk with you. I'm going to be beside you. And then if anything goes wrong, they're not saying I told you so. They're just going to support you and walk with you. Those are special people, and not everybody has the ability to do that. I hope that as you listen to this story, that you'll be able to look at the people in your life. If you have people in your life that are doing that, celebrate them. If you have people in your life that are judgmental, critical, disrespectful people in your life, then you might want to look at, how do I look at who are the people in my life, and the ones that I need to draw closer, and the ones that I need to create some distance with because of how they're impacting you. Thank you for joining me in this episode of Stories That Shape Us. I hope you'll join me on the next story.